Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
It's time! Seconds from Game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead! Behind the screen, Harper got a piece of it, it comes off. The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship. Tying run at second, 2 out, Palmero over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws, out! And the White Sox have won the World Series.
To the far side around the 8-yard line to Hester. Under it, and to the middle with the 15, to the 20, break free of the 25, to the 30, to the outside, 40, midfield, 40, 30 to the coast, 20, 15, Hester 5.
For the 3rd time in 6 seasons, it's one goal achieved. The Chicago Blackhawks win the Stanley Cup. A little bouncer slowly toward Bryant. He will glove it toward Rizzo. It's in time, and the Chicago Cubs win the World Series.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to ShawnSierraSports on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm your boy, the SuperBack, Shawn Sierra. Thanks for tuning in. All right, you're watching us on our YouTube channel. Excellent! Now listen, you can tweet the show, tweet us at Sports Zone Shy, that's CHI at Sports Zone Shy. Now, if you want to follow me, I try to make it easy for you, but them damn hackers got me. So listen, on Facebook, which I'm still not privileged to, Shawn.Sierra.2025. And on Twitter, I'm at ShawnSierra33. But on Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok, I'm still at the Shawn Sierra. Listen, I got a great show, but I need you to get interactive. So leave a question on what the platform you're watching us. It'll come up here in the thread. We'll put it up on the screen. We'll incorporate it into the show. And that, my peoples, is what makes this the best morning Chicago sports talk show around. And that's you. So bring them all, baby. Questions, comments, smart-ass remarks, because ain't nobody scared over here. Like The Rock said, baby, don't sing it. Just bring it. Let's check the chat, because the chat is jumping, baby. Jumping. Cornelius Squalls checking in. It's the top of the morning, Shawn, and Sports Owner Salute. Bear down, FGB. What? FGB. Black Diamonds in the house. Top of the morning, gang. FGB is here. The start of a special season. I told you I got 13 wins pending health. Hopefully the football gods will be on our side this season. I hope so as well. And my man, Junior, the happy birthday, Shawn. Happy birthday to you, Junior. Tomorrow is our birthday. So they gave, you know what? I got to put those up. They had, it was cool. They did something for me at CrossFit, which was kind of dope. Yeah, it was kind of dope. Yeah, it's kind of dope. So they sing happy birthday to you, and then it's wild. They sing happy birthday to you, but to a weird song. And then they give you a cupcake, and yeah, it was cool, man. Let me tell you, I was grateful. You know, I'm grateful my people at CrossFit care about your boy, you know. So, but come on, man, you're killing me. But yeah, listen, we got a great show for you at 9:30. We gotta get a cracking like at 9:30. My man Ron Luce from the On Tap Sports Net is gonna call. We're gonna talk Patrick Kane. You saw the thumbnail. It says, "I'm back, bitches. I'm back." Steve and I were talking, so he created that "I'm back," and I was like, "Steve, you should put 'I'm back, bitches." He's like, "I can go back and change it." I was like, "No, don't." And so it was funny. I'm telling you this. There we go. What the fudge crackers? Come on. Anyway, just trying to upload this picture here. This was at 5 a.m. Why is this not uploading? I don't get it. Anyway. I'll get it. At 9:30, it said Ron Luce is going to join us. Talk Blackhawks. Patrick Kane is back. And at 10 o'clock, our man Gabrielle Wilkins is going to join us. We're going to talk about our first place White Sox. And now we'll talk first place White Sox. And then after that, we're going to talk a little Bears. Training camp, the rookies report tomorrow, so we're going to talk Bears. So, listen, let's get a crack-a-lackin', baby. You know how we do the first segment of every show. It's called Top of the Morning.
It won't come just when you want it.
Let's go. The first top of the morning topic. Which way do we go? Which way do we go? Which way do we go? We'll go here. The White Sox, baby. The White Sox take the rubber match of the series with the Texas Rangers 4-2 and come home. I'm fired up about our boys. Big time win on the road. They're starting to win on the road. So you better watch the hell out because our boys they're doing it. All right, staying with the White Sox. The White Sox, this is the first place. White Sox host the Astros tonight at Wright Field. First pitch is at 6:40 p.m. Central. You can catch that game on Chicago Sports Network or listen to it on their flagship station, ESPN 1000. That's 1000 a.m. The probables for tonight's game. For the Astros, the cheating, the trash tros. Spencer Arrighetti, who's 7-5 with a 4.34 ERA, going up against our mans. Davis Martin, who's 9-5 with a 3.31 ERA. Next top of the morning topic, the Cubs, they fell to the Detroit Tigers, lose the series 2-1. Okay. They just can't seem to gain any ground on Milwaukee. Right? They just can't. All right, but staying with the Cubs, the next top of the morning topic, the Cubs traveled to Steel Town, to Pittsburgh, not to Gary. No, they're not going to Gary. They're going to Pittsburgh. The Cubs are in Pittsburgh tonight for a weekend, starting a weekend set against the Pirates. First pitch is at 5:40 p.m. Central. You can catch that game on the Marquee Network or listen to it on their flagship station, 104.3 FM or 670 AM. The Score, not 67, 670. There you go. There you go. 670 The Score or 104.3 FM. The probables for tonight's game for the Northsiders. Matthew Boyd is on the bump for you guys. He's 6-1 with a 4.15 ERA going up against Jared Jones for the Buccos. He's 2-1 with a 4.05 ERA. Next top of the morning topic is news that came across the wire yesterday. And let me tell you something, Blackhawk fans were excited. I am excited too. Patrick Kane, arguably the best American-born hockey player ever to live, re-signs with the Chicago Blackhawks, 2 years, $16 million. He's going to probably be paired on the same line with Connor Bedard once Connor Bedard gets healthy. And that is going to be an unbelievable line. I am looking forward to that for the next couple of seasons. telling you, the next couple seasons, that is going to be something to watch, something to be something to marvel, not marvel at, just to watch and monitor, because you have a guy here who's done it all. You have a guy who's done it all. How much wisdom can he impart onto this young crew? That's going to be the fun part. Watching a guy like this, who is a sure first ballot Hall of Famer, watching a guy like this is going to be a doctorate class in how to be a professional hockey player. When you get guys like this is what you do. I was very fortunate enough in my career, especially when I got to Holy Cross. I played behind 2 All-Americans, and the things that they taught me were priceless. Priceless. So think about all these young guys, not just Bedard, Frankie Nazar, some of the other guys, that they are going to have this guy literally right there for the next 2 years. I'm fired up about that. All right. And we're going to talk to our guy, Ron Luce, in a moment. Talk about this signing. He's happier than a pig in slop, and so am I. I think so is his entire Black Hawk Nation, because it's not like Patrick Kane is going out there with a walker. This dude is still firing. This dude is still a potent offensive scorer. And to combine him with this young squad, as I said, it's going to be the master is back. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, make like 30 seconds. On the other side of the break, we're going to welcome our guy, Ron Luce from the On Tap Sports Network. We're going to talk a little Patrick Kane. So don't go anywhere. Keep it locked right here. Shawn Sierra Sports on Sports Zone Chicago.
Operator 901, where's the emergency?
127 Brymere.
Okay, what's going on there?
I'd like to order a pizza for delivery.
Ma'am, you've reached 911. This is an emergency line.
Large with half pepperoni, half mushroom.
You know you've called 911. This is an emergency
Do you
line.
know how long it'll be?
Okay, ma'am, is everything okay over there? Do you have an emergency or not?
Yes.
And you're unable to talk because...
Right.
Okay, is there someone in the room with you? Just say yes or no.
Yes.
Okay, it looks like I have an officer about a mile from your location. Are there any weapons in your house?
No.
Can you stay on the phone with me?
No. See you soon. Thank you.
Every day, we take steps to keep the people we love safe.
Whoa.
With also issuing free passes. 3-2, hammered left field. That's back on its way, and it's gone. Seiya Suzuki blasts one into the bleachers in left field, and the Cubs jump in front 1-0. Suzuki with home run number 17 and a no-doubter.
He's been the hottest player on the team for the Cubs.
There's a line drive into left field. Happ coming up, slides, and he makes the catch. He steals a hit from Zach McKinstry, and then attempts to double off Carpenter at first. Happ, outstanding left fielder. He's won 4 Gold Gloves. The last 4 in left field.
I mean, the mantle most likely.
Welcome back to Shawn Sierra Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Those comes courtesy of ESPN. My mistake initially attributing those to the Marquee Network. Those are from ESPN. Those videos, we appreciate the use of those. My first guest, I'm fired up to talk to him. It's been a minute, and we're going to talk what many Blackhawk fans, well, all Blackhawk fans are talking about. That I think the entire hockey world is on its ear in Patrick Kane's return to his hometown. Because just to be honest, we got him when he was 18 years old. He was here, what, 14, 13, 14, 15, something like that? Like he literally almost half of his life was here in Chicago. So he is ours. Okay, we saw him grow up. Okay, saw him stumble, saw him make mistakes. We saw him at his lowest, then we saw him at his highest. And the people like that we consider our own are the people we care about, the athletes that we care about and hold a special place in our heart. Like that dude, him, Captain, Dunks, all right, Seabrook, Siebes, none of those guys ever have to buy a drink in this town again for what they did for this city. So my next guest, we're going to bring him out. We're going to talk about the return of the best American-born hockey player ever. He is the host of the Four Feathers podcast on the On Tap Sports Network. You can find him on Twitter at Loose On Tap. Let's bring him in. Our guy, Ron Loose. Ron, what's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm good, Shawn. How are you? Can you hear me all right?
I hear you perfectly, nice and clear, crystal clear, my man. Thank you for the time this morning. I appreciate it.
Of course. It's been too long, man. It's good to get back on here and chat with you.
Man, I couldn't agree more, man. And dude, I am fired up. Talk to me. I mean, we knew that Chicago was one of the possible destinations. Chicago, because it's his second home. Buffalo, because it's where he was from. And Chris Chelios actually, I guess, broke the news inadvertently last week on Chicago Sports Radio that those were the two spots. And it was here. Give me your thoughts when the news came across and you heard that Patrick Kane is coming home to the Chi.
Man, I'll tell you what, I didn't need any coffee yesterday. There's no better kick of caffeine. Good news early in the morning when you're just getting your day started. But, it's really neat. And I'll tell you what, I think once it felt like it was possible is when it was like, okay, like now it has to happen. Right. I know tons of conversations with people. It was like, is he coming home? And it's like, I hope so. And they're like, if he doesn't, it's going to be heartbreaking. And it's like, it will be, because there was hope and they gave us hope. And I'll tell you what, it's awesome that he chose to come back to Chicago. I mean, the news itself was spectacular. I've never been so excited over an Elliot Friedman tweet in my entire life. And on top of it, just to think that, I think he truly chose his home. Because I don't know, Shawn, if you've seen some of the interviews he's done. He lived longer in Chicago than he did, because he still does, even when he was playing in Detroit.
Right.
Chicago
right.
homes. He's lived in Chicago longer than he lived in Buffalo, because I think he said he left Buffalo at 16 to go play in the O. So
right.
It's crazy to think that, maybe at the end of the day, he truly did feel like this is just home and this is where he wants to end his career. And it's awesome to see.
It is. It's got to be, dude. I mean, think of the love he's got, man. Think of how, he realizes that he is revered here, right? And it's no secret. Blackhawk fans have kept it no secret. You, the captain, okay, even the guy, the Bufflins, the Sharps, like even the guys from the 2010, you guys they're heroes here, for what they did for the city three times in 6 seasons. Insane. I know he loves it here, and I would just love to. I've met him before. He was right when he was going through that whole situation with the video, the picture from him in the dorm room and everything. And I was working at Under Armour back in 2016-ish or so. And one of the nicest guys, dude. Nicest guys. And I would just love to see him on the street again and just congratulate him and, just say, hey, thanks because you turned the city on its ear and you united us in a way that only the Bears can unite us. Hey, well, the Bulls too, because they united us as well. But you know what I mean. So, is this more than just a nostalgic trip down memory lane, or is he still going to be a viable offensive force for the squad?
I mean, I fully expect him to still be a viable offensive option. I mean, you said it best. You know, he not only is he coming in here to be another prime example of how to be a professional in the city of Chicago, but I mean, he put up 57 points in 67 games last year as a 37-year-old. I mean, this guy still got it. Like he was probably, and I would argue he was playing with lesser talent in Detroit. You know, outside of probably DeBrincat and Larkin and Raymond. I mean, they've got a couple good players, but most of their depth was, you know, like Patrick Kane was supposed to be the move that took the Red Wings over the top and got them back to the playoffs. So you look around this team, he fills such a huge need too in this lineup, because I think everybody was sitting there going, who is the other top six winger? Who's the other one? And now that he's in the equation, all of a sudden you watch this lineup fill out a little bit better, and it just feels more complete. And now, granted, for the first 12 games of the season, it's not going to have Connor Bedard, but you're still going to have an elite playmaker playing with guys that have huge upside talent. Anton Frondel, Frank Nazar, even maybe Oliver Moore gets a little cup of coffee with him if he's playing on the opposite wing. And those guys, I think, are going to allow Kane to still be a viable option. I fully expect Kane to – I think he could absolutely – I think if he gives you 50 points, that's a beautiful thing, because a 50-point season would have put him third on the Hawks this year. Only two guys that got above 50, and that was Bertuzzi and Bedard. And Bertuzzi narrowly squeaked above it, and that was just because he had so many goals. So I fully expect Kane to come in here and be a viable option, still be an offensive threat. And now it's going to be good for Bedard too, because now teams can't just gravitate to Bedard and try to swallow him up on the power play, or, you know, even at 5-on-5. I don't know how much him and Bedard are going to play together. I personally think that Kane might be a better fit playing with Anton Frondel, but I fully expect them to play together on the power play, and I think it's going to be incredible. Those two on each opposing dot is going to be a lot of fun as Bo and Byram's slapping it around from the point.
How much of a boost is it going to be for whoever's line he is on? Because now he's going to he has to get the majority of the attention. And as we all know, he is one hell of a playmaker. You want to triple team me, through the law back, just the law. Then somebody's open and he finds you. So how is that going to help these youngsters who are really trying to get their foot get established in this league? How is that going to help them, you know, to really feel comfortable and get a lot of points on the board early, you know, to make their transition or their stay in the beginning of NHL's career to be a positive one?
You know, I think it goes more than just Kane being a playmaker. I think obviously the physical aspect of it will be huge, right? Crisp passes for guys like Frondel, for Nazar, for Bedard. You know, these guys have great shots. They're going to be able to tee off on these. You know, we're going to see more accurate passing, and that's going to be something that certainly improves the hockey team. But I really think where he's going to bring a ton of value for these young guys, especially more so Frondel, more so, you know, maybe even, I guess you could kind of maybe even say Nazar still, just because of the amount of time he's missed with injury. I fully believe that all of these guys are going to learn the IQ side of the game from Patrick Kane. And I think that's going to make their lives easier. They're going to learn so much just from a guy who's played, 1,400 games of hockey in his career. I mean, that alone is such a huge advantage, because now, you know, he can turn around and show these guys, say, hey, man, I saw you here. If they do that again, you know, just go to the net or do this. He's going to help put guys in good positions because he's such a hockey nerd at the end of it. You know, you hear so many stories about just how much of a hockey sicko he is, and he thinks the game so well. And you have to if you're a high-level player, right? You have to think the game high level. So I fully believe, you know, he's gonna certainly help them from a physical aspect, but I think the mental aspect as well is going to be something that we as fans probably don't get to see as much of, just simply because we're not in the ear of these guys. We don't hear the communication that's happening, play in and play out. But I think that is going to be just a literal game changer for some of these young guys who are really still dipping their toe in the water in the NHL and really trying to establish themselves as everyday players.
So then talk to me about what it's going to do for their careers, because one of the things that I said, and you played football, so you understand, and with this conversation came along with Caleb, and Justin Fields, is that whenever you move up a level, grammar school to high school to college to pro, the most important level of coaching you get is that first year to help you establish the routine. You get these young guys in their first year, or maybe not even their second year, but not even having played a full 82 game regular season games, so still technically a rookie year. You get a guy like this saying, hey, when this happens, I need you to go here. When this happens, I need you to be here and be ready, and I'll find you. How's that going to help them in the beginning of their career with the IQ and become better players over the long term?
I think it's going to be huge. And again, I think this is, this is another example of just these guys. Patrick Kane knows how to win. He's been on winning hockey teams for a huge piece of his career. He's been a part of some of the greatest memories in Chicago sports history. And I think when you're just around those players, it genuinely does you just almost suck it up like a sponge, and you can learn so much. And I think too, Patrick Kane coming in, this certainly isn't he has to be the only leader where all the eyeballs go. I think it's so important that guys like Connor Bedard have established themselves as guys that, these younger guys can look up to, even though he's only a few years older than they are, or even Alex Vlasic and some of these other players. And I think because of the diversity of experience in that locker room, I think that's going to help a lot of these young guys. It's not just all young guys now that are like, I'm just as new to this as you are. Let's kind of learn together. They can now start to look around the locker room a little bit more. And you still have Ryan Donato, who's been around for a little bit. You still have Teuvo Teravainen, who was here, during some of those cup years. You still have, Tyler Bertuzzi, that is an incredible veteran. And then you have perhaps one of the 3 or 4 greatest Blackhawks of all time, and Patrick Kane sitting on the other side of the room. I think it's just going to elevate them because there's just more experience to draw from, to, just like you said, establish that routine. Ask Kane, like, hey, you were here when you were 18. Like, what do you remember? And what did you do? Or what did you do that in hindsight you wish you didn't do? I think that type of stuff is going to really benefit some of these young guys. And granted, I don't know if there's a 18-year-old version of Patrick Kane on this roster right now, where we have to worry about him partying and sneaking into bars or anything. But it certainly probably helps though to have a more wise version of Patrick Kane back in that locker room, because you can tell some of these guys what not to do too.
And that's true. I mean, how many stupid things did we do, at 18, 19, 20, and oh yeah. Oh yeah. And especially when I got a fake ID at 19. So I had like two full years of acting a fool on Rush Street and the clubs downtown when I came home. So, those were crazy, crazy times. But one of the things that we've had an issue with is our defense. How do you see that? Because our goaltending is pretty good. All right. Our goaltending is pretty good, but I mean, you can't let the dude get peppered 40 times a game. I don't care how good you are. Some are going to sneak through. How do we show up that defense, all right, to stop our goalies from getting peppered 35, 40 times a night?
Well, I'll tell you this right now. Patrick Kane certainly will not have defense, but that's okay. That's not what he's here to do. And I really do think the team is going to take a little bit of more of a step forward defensively. Obviously, another year for the young guys is huge, and I think the addition of Bowen Byram finally puts the defensive group, especially the top 4, kind of over the top a little bit. I fully expect Byram's probably going to play his offside, so he's probably going to be your number 1 right D. Probably playing with Alex Vlasic. That's a really nice twosome there to lead things off. And then I think it's probably going to be, Wyatt Kaiser and maybe Artem Levshinov. And, Blashill's system is really fascinating. I one of the greatest watches, I remember Wally Masaryk on X. A lot of Blackhawks fans are probably familiar with his page. I remember he shared it right after Blashill got hired, and it was Blashill like teaching essentially like USA Hockey like youth coaches like how he explains hockey and like his core fundamentals and what he expects out of his players. He wants his D to be very aggressive, and that's I think just something that you're kind of going to see. Vegas did a lot of it early on, and it was something that Blashill even admitted like he likes how Vegas plays because it's not so much about, okay, sit back on your toes or on your heels and, let the game come to you. It's kind of take the game to it. And sometimes you're going to get burned, but that's why having a guy like Spencer Knight's huge in those situations because he can make the big save when you need it. So, the defense I think is going to improve. I think Ian Cole is going to be a very, very valuable veteran as well. I really like that signing. I know a lot of people are like, why are we signing another old guy to an overpriced contract? But I mean, Ian Cole is one of the best, just pure depth defensemen that exists. He knows how to hold the blue line. He gives you a little bit of offense. And again, just another veteran voice that these guys get to play with. In years past, it was, Alec Martinez for a couple of the guys that have been here long enough, like Vlasic and Kaiser. But, for these new guys, it's been this young group. It's just been, they were learning from Connor Murphy and Grizzlick. So, yeah, I think getting another perspective in there with Ian Cole, he's got 2 Stanley Cups. I think that's going to be huge. And then just an influx of talent, I think, with a guy like Bowen Byram is really going to make a difference. I fully expect Bowen Byram to play like 26 minutes a night. I think that's going to happen more often than people realize. We're gonna see some Seth Jones level ice time numbers, I think, throughout the course of the season. Maybe not all the time as Seth Jones was, but probably pretty close. I wouldn't be surprised if his average time on ice is probably going to be somewhere around like 23 minutes. So, I just think all those additions and these guys just getting another year older, it should improve the defense at least a little bit. And if it doesn't, then at least Kyle Davidson knows, okay, hey, maybe so-and-so and so-and-so on the blue line right now aren't the answer. And we need to shore that up next offseason. They still have tons of draft capital and they're going to have, we just did the math on this. Blackhawks Cowboy and I did a show yesterday talking about Kane's return. $42 million, I believe the Hawks have in cap space next year after just a bunch of dead contracts and stuff fall off. So they'll have plenty of money to address it if they need to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How is it going to work? Jeff Blashill, the head coach, you're getting a first ballot Hall of Famer, okay, back in your in your locker room. How do you feel Blashill's going to I know obviously we know he's going to in arms, but do you think there could be, listen, I'm a little, I don't know, kind of pissing for on your territory, like I'm Patrick Kane from here, but Blashill, like I'm the head coach. You think there could be some sort of maybe initial friction because how can you kind of corral Patrick Kane when he has a resume that he has, but you still have to be respectful of the coach, regardless of the fact that he may not have a long resume. You still got to be respectful of him, especially in front of these younger guys who are extremely malleable at this point.
Yeah. I think, if this was Jeff Blashill when he was the Detroit Red Wings head coach, when it was his first time being a head coach, and this was maybe 25-year-old Patrick Kane, I'd be a little more worried about that possibility. But an older, wiser, true professional version of Patrick Kane now he's going to be 38 come the season.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Jeff Blashill who, he really only got 1 year to kind of, as a head coach of the Red Wings to have those veterans, right? The Pavel Datsyuks of the world, the Henrik Zetterbergs of the world, and then those guys all faded into oblivion because that was just kind of the end of the Detroit dynasty at that point. So, I think because he went to Tampa, he was under John Cooper, who, is one of the best in the business. He was in the same locker room as guys like, Nikita Kucherov and Victor Hedman and stars of this game. So, I don't really see there being an issue. I think both parties are going to know, like, hey, I think Blashill can even trust Kane in a way of, hey, what are you seeing that maybe I'm missing because I'm not on the ice with you? Or, what are you seeing from this young guy? I think if anything, just having Kane there because of his wealth of experience, I think that's going to help Blashill be a better head coach. And I think Patrick Kane's going to, be completely respectful of that. I don't think he's going to try to tread on anybody's, party. I think everybody's got the level expectation. So I don't have, it's a long-winded way of saying I have no concern about a coach-player clash with Blashill. I think he's been around, he's worked with a lot of really good coaches, incredible players. Like, he's on his second stint, and I think he'll be just fine. I have no worries.
Yeah, that's a good perspective, and the fact that he may use Kane as another coach. Like, all right,
100%.
What about this guy? What about that guy? And he can kind of, if you need a guy to do something, you could also go to Patrick Kane and say, hey, listen, talk to this guy. Tell him to work on this. Tell him to work on that. And I know you have a lot of respect for your coach as a player. When you have a first ballot Hall of Famer telling you what to do, dude, you're all ears. You're all ears. And a lot of these guys probably grew up admiring, idolizing Patrick Kane. So for him to tell you to do this, it's not. The question is how soon? Yes, sir. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So it could be a great partnership for them to work together to get these youngsters into doing certain things, which I'm excited about.
Definitely. And, especially at the NHL level, like Blashill is more, his more concern is the structure, how they're going to attack teams. That's what they're drilling, right? Like, that's practice. The skill coaches are the guys that are doing more of the stuff behind the scenes. So, like, when it comes to what Kane can provide some of these guys, he almost can kind of be like a skills coach in a lot of ways. Noticing a guy does something in a drill or how he attacks or takes an angle, and he's, hey, I like your tenacity coming into the corner there, but why don't you attack it from this side if you see the puck laying over here because X, Y, and Z, right? Just that additional perspective where, Blashill doesn't have the time. This isn't, USA Hockey Youth Clinic, right? Where, you teach to play the game. You're worried about the X's and O's, right? So, I think that's really where Kane, I think, will bring the stuff. It's not going to be so much like, hey, you're doing the system wrong. It's, hey, think about this or think about that.
Tweak it. You're going to tweak it to make,
just ways to do little things better that are just going to make these guys more efficient hockey players.
So basically, shorten the learning curve is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, most of these guys now this is year 2 with Blashill. So they're going to be more comfortable with the system. And I think that's what I'm really excited to see early in the season is, how much more comfortable do these guys look in Jeff Blashill's system. But I really do believe that, Kane's going to be able to add to that of just saying, Kane's been around hockey so much, like he knows what Jeff Blashill's system is. You know what I mean? He could probably sit there and go, oh yeah, I know. They like to, the center supports the D, comes back into the D zone. He supports this guy and this guy. The wings are just here to do this, X, Y, and Z. Like, Kane could probably regurgitate that stuff in his sleep. So I fully believe, he'll be able to come in and just say, hey, why did you take this angle, or why did you do this, or why did you do that? And listen to these young players and, be able to give them some perspective. And who knows, maybe he'll gain some perspective too, right? I mean, just because he's a Hall of Famer doesn't mean, like, the young kid might say something. He'd be like,
never stop, never too old to learn.
Exactly. So I think the dynamic's going to be great. And I think there was 100% a ton of communication between both parties of just understanding what this return looks like, whether that's, what's your role as a leader? What's your, what are we hoping to get out of you on the ice? What are you going to do in the community? I'm sure there was tons of that stuff that was happening before he agreed and officially signed. So I fully expect, the Kane's here to help the Blackhawks grow, both on the ice, in the standings, and, as well as off the ice too, I think. And I think it's, it's certainly some nostalgia, right? I'm sure, it's going to put butts in seats. It's going to put a lot of butts.
Damn sure will. Mine's going to be one of them.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going into, what is this going to be now? Year 4 of season tickets. So I already got my tickets for the opener, so I'll be there. And I can't wait to hear that roar when the number 88's announced. But, I overall, though, I just think he's going to bring a lot to the organization this time around. And I think, too, when you can depart a place and then come back, you bring new perspective that you probably didn't have before.
Yes.
And I think that probably in the hopes from Kyle Davidson and company up in the front office of just saying, like, hey, come back and do this. And yeah, you're going to help us put butts in seats, but like, we fully expect you to help us be a better hockey team as well.
Last question before we let you go, Ron. And guys, again, we're joined by Ron Luce, one of the hosts of the Four Feathers podcast on the On Tap Sports Network. He's here talking Blackhawks hockey and the return of Kaner here on Shawn Sierra Sports on Sports Zone Chicago to make the playoffs.
No, I think they get very close. I would be, if Bedard wasn't going to miss 12 games, I would say yes. But losing your 30 goal scorer, 75-point player from a season ago for, the first 12 to 14 games of the year, I think this season is going to be very reminiscent of that 2007-2008 team where they just missed the playoffs, but you saw a ton of growth from the young guys late, and they played meaningful hockey in March. And that alone, I'll take, because that means they're right there. It means, and who knows, like maybe Kyle Davidson is able to pull off a trade at the deadline and get a guy here that's going to be here for more than just, the rest of the season. You find that guy that you can add to the piece, but because, X, Y, and Z team is just doing something different, maybe they do mess around and make the playoffs. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but my prediction is I think they're going to be right there, but I think they're going to just miss because I still think the West is so good. And I just don't know if they're quite there yet. I think they're close, though. I could see it being like an 84 to 87 point season where like it takes like 91 points to get in the playoffs. I think that's what we're going to see. And which is still great because that means when we're going to games, around my birthday in late March, like those are still going to be meaningful hockey games.
Meaningful, yeah.
10 years that they've been playing meaningful hockey in March.
Yeah.
That alone will be, I think that'll help reinvigorate the fan base a little bit, and everybody will be able to sit back and say, okay, they're getting there. Like they're almost there. We're starting to see the opening of a window, and then, hey, Kane signed for 2 years. It's not just for one. So,
27, 28 to be pretty excited.
Don't turn to the playoffs when he's in his last year and maybe he announces at the beginning it's his retirement tour. That'll be pretty cool. But I think they'll be close. And I hope I'm wrong. Frankly, I hope I'm wrong. I would love to see them make the playoffs. But I think they'll be close, but I think they'll just miss.
Guys, he's Ron Luce from the On Tap Sports Net. My man, I appreciate your time. Do me a favor, though, let everyone know where they can find you and your work online.
Yeah, you can follow me at Loose on Tap on pretty much every social. I think I've got them all consistent now. You can also check out ontapsportsnet.com. That's where a lot of my writing is. And then, of course, we're On Tap Sportsnet on YouTube, and that's where all of our podcasts go live. So Cubs on Tap, which I've, I'm not on as much anymore, Shawn. I'm taking a little step back, trying to focus more on Bears and Hawks. And
I thought you were saying you're focusing on a White Sox. I'm like, whoa, we got
No. That's the alter ego Southside Ron that hasn't peeked his head out since 2021. So you don't got to worry about that. But also Four Feathers Podcast and Bears on Tap are other places you can find me. So, but no, Shawn, this was awesome. It was great to get back here and talk hockey with you. And it feels like full circle. It's been a while, and Patrick Kane's back, and it's all feels like beautiful Friday.
Yes, the world is definitely all is right in the world now with Kaner back in the 88 sweater. That's for sure. Man, great stuff. I appreciate it. We'll talk soon, Ron. Thanks.
Absolutely. Take care, Shawn. Have a good one.
All righty. Guys, that's Ron Luce from the On Tap Sports Network. Fired up like all of us Blackhawk fans are fired up that Kaner is back. Boom. Rises up. All red. Hey, let's take a real quick break. And on the other side of the break, we're going to welcome Gabrielle, our guy Gabrielle Wilkins. We're talking about our first place. Let me say it again. I don't want to stutter. Our first place. Chicago White Sox. Yeah, baby. All right, keep it locked right here. Shawn Sierra Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Hey, it's your boy, the SuperBack, Shawn Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel. You can find us at Sports Zone Chicago, and on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Shy. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
How do you take care of your mind health?
For my mental health, I meditate in the mornings. I have my dogs. They're the best. I just find ways that help me just relax.
Finding things that make me happy, like being close to my family.
I meditate a lot and read books. I have hobbies outside of the game. I'm able to switch off. I'm able to turn my brain off from the game of basketball. Your mind health matters.
Your mind health matters.
It's a grown man sport. What? It's a grown man sport like that.
Your Marine Corps' way of life is to defend the American way of life.
And now Mydra delivers this one into left field, an RBI single as Montgomery scores and the Sox strike first, 1-0 here in this second. Cam Cauley with his first career home run tying the game. Here's a bloop into right field, and Chase Mydra will drive in Murakami as the Sox retake the lead.
Right-handers that have done well against Benintendi have had that hard slider that drops down and in.
A sinking line drive will draw up in front of Cauley as Braden Montgomery scores. RBI single now for Andrew Benintendi. That makes it a 3-1 Sox lead here in the fourth. And this one, a single in a center as Benintendi drives in another. Montgomery scores. This could do it. Weak ground ball to second base. Mydra makes the play. Ball game.
Welcome back to ShawnSierraSports on Sports Zone Chicago. Those clips courtesy of CHSN, Chicago Sports Network. Those were the good guys from the South Side. Man, taking the series. I tell you what, to win on the road, okay, to win on the road is huge. All right, down in Texas. All right, the road is where we've been having our issues. At home, we've been doing well. We've been getting our asses handed to us on the road, and we're starting to turn around. We're starting to turn that around. And if we can continue to win at home the way we've been winning at home and get to 500 on the road, shit, playoffs, here we come. Okay? That's the big if. Okay? That's a big if. But they've done well in the last month or so. Okay? Or are they 4-2 on this road trip? I'll take that. I'll take that every time, because that means we are going to the playoffs if we're taking 2 out of 3 on the road every series. That's got me excited. Those young boys winning on the road, because let's be honest, those are the types of games that the Sox lose. The Sox don't. One of the things that my guest and I are going to talk about, we're texting, like, they put teams away. Okay, you're up a run or two going into the 8th or 9th, and they add on a run or two just to extend it a little more. Like, okay, one run, a bloop and a blast, and we're good. Oh, shit, now we need a bloop, a walk, and a blast. Okay? They extend it. When they're up, what they're doing is they're showing their instinct isn't dead because they're up in the 8th or 9th inning. The killer instinct is still on, and that's what I enjoy. So we're going to talk about that, about this youngster, this young squad, and their maturity, the maturity that we're seeing night in and night out with these youngsters, man. And I can't tell you how fired up I am to talk about it with our guy. He is the host of the New 24 podcast. You can find him on Twitter at WhatGave. Guys, welcome back to ShawnSierraSports. my guy, man, pretty soon he's gonna become one of my mans in them. All right, I got a couple, like, we know who my mans in them are. I got a couple of my guys like that. He's slowly but surely creeping into the Mustang, so that helps a lot. All right, that helps a whole hell of a lot. But our man Gabriel Wilkins. Gabe, what's up, Papa? How are you? Good morning.
I'm doing well, Shawn. How you doing this Friday?
Man, like Joe Soto said, if I be any better, I'd be twins.
Yeah, pleasure to be on, man. Pleasure to be on.
Well, I appreciate your time this morning, as always. But we get to talk about the first place. I didn't stutter. I didn't do that. I didn't the first place, up 1.5 games. Thank you, Cleveland, for jagging it off yesterday. Thank you, Cleveland. The first place White Sox are a game and a half in front of the Guardians, and I want to talk about them. The first thing I want to talk about is this bullpen. What the hell is going on? These guys are lights out. You put these guys in, it's done. They've given up, 8 runs in 8 earned runs in 45, 46 innings? What kind of nonsense is that? Who does that except playoff caliber teams?
Well, I think one of the big reasons behind the success of the bullpen lately has been a guy that was a couple of months ago ostracized by this fan base. Some people thought he should be DFA. Some people thought that once he came off the IL, but since he's returned from his injury, he's done nothing but be dominant. And that's Jordan Hicks. Jordan Hicks was a guy that the Boston Red Sox were trying to convert into a starter. It didn't work. He was on a contract that they didn't want to pay out. The White Sox took him back as dead money alongside of David Sandlin, who they wanted as a prospect with some upside. And he struggled early on, but he's turned it up since returning from his injury. And I believe he's gone maybe 12 innings without allowing a run. When he has his command and he's pitching under control, he looks solid. And in turn, he has taken Sir Anthony Dominguez's place in the rotation with the pen as a high leverage reliever. Now, he's not a guy that you may see closing out games, but when you got a 1-run lead and it's the top or bottom of the 6th, whether you're playing home or away, that's a guy that right now you can put your trust in if you're Will Venable and say, hey, man, give me 3 up, give me 3 down. And then you got guys like Grant Taylor doing what he, striking out guys. And kudos to Will Venable for putting them in the 7th and the 8th inning, allowing him to take down 6 in a row, striking out 5 in the process. A lot of fans, sometimes they tend to get caught up watching the scoreboard, and I understand. It's been a long time since this team has played in some high leverage baseball where the stakes are high, and it's the division up for grabs. But I think Jordan Hicks, alongside of Grant Taylor, beside Brian Hudson, a guy that I believe at one point in time they let go only to bring him back in, he's been a godsend. And that you talk about bargain being arms, Brian Hudson has been that and more, and been an incredible setup man. So I think that's what's led to them being able to close out some games on the road. And you talk about how they struggled on the road prior to me coming on, Shawn. This is a team that has won 3 out of their last 4 road series, including splitting with the Cleveland Guardians at the top of July. And that was a series where they easily could have had 3 out of 4 if not bullpen issues. But
game 1,
young team, still trying to learn, still trying to figure it out. You still see some mental errors here and there, but that bullpen, in my opinion, has been led by Hicks, Grant Taylor, Brian Hudson, and I can't forget about Sean Newcomb, who also played a pivotal role in closing some games in that Cleveland series.
You heard me. I was just about to say that. And it's good to see. It's good to see because the bullpen had been an issue. Okay. And the fact that they're starting to get it together is a dangerous thing for the rest of the AL Central and the American League. Let's keep it a buck. All right. Because we're good at home. Okay. And we have guys who step up, different guys who step up. And Munetaka Murakami hasn't even gotten hot yet like he was before he went injured. Imagine when that dude starts getting hot. Now you're in some deep trouble when that dude starts hitting. Miguel Vargas has been hitting. Chase Maidroff is the kind of love that dude. He is a grinder. He's, never going to, I doubt he's going to be in Cooperstown, but that son of a gun is a guy you need. Every baseball team needs a guy like that who understands his baseball IQ is through the roof. He understands that if I need a big hit, cool. If I got runners on second and third, I don't need to swing for the fences. I need a blooper. I need a base hit is all I need. I need a gapper. And he understands it. His approach, you can see it in his approach and his stance, the way he attacks pitches in various situations. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love these guys. I love the fact that they don't quit. I love the fact that they're producing. I love the fact that no one shrinks when it's their turn to produce. And that is second to none to me because of the youth of this team. But they're starting to figure it out, man. They're starting to figure it out. Talk to me about Costa Montgomery. He got snubbed for the All-Star game, and I think he seemed like he had a chip on his shoulder to begin with. I think he's got a boulder on his shoulder now because he is pissed about that, and he's taking it out on the American League.
Well, the one thing about it with Coulson is we know when he's hitting for power and he runs into a hot streak, he can carry a team for a couple of weeks. If I'm not mistaken, he currently leads all shortstops in the game of baseball with home runs. I think he's at 24 right now, and hopefully counting is they get to the home stretch of the season. But Coulson still got some things he can improve on and work on too.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things he got to do, in my opinion, is just working on shortening up his swing. A lot of those home runs that he hit, they be solo shots. Once Coulson consistently learns how to cash in with runners in scoring position, I think you're going to see a guy go from maybe 85 to 90 RBIs to 100 plus RBIs. And that's going to separate him from the pack in his position. You saw him first game out the All-Star break do a tremendous job of hitting the ball gap to gap and driving in multiple runs, which in turn led to the Southsiders putting up 12 on the Blue Jays in the series opener out in T-Dot on the way to winning 2 out of 3 in that series. But if you Coulson Montgomery, you can't take the All-Star snub personally. You just got to look at that as motivation and say, you know what, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and I'm going to get better. Because I feel like if he continues to lock in, especially in positions with runners in scoring position, and he capitalizes on that, he's going to have multiple chances in the years to come.
I agree. And I think if he could take the approach that Chase Mydroff has, because you see Mydroff chokes, his swing's a lot shorter. He'll poke a ball. The last game on Wednesday, all right, little duck snorts right over the drawn in infield, or right the right field. The first baseman was covering the bag, and so it's right where, you know what I mean. It was just right into the outfield. You don't have to hit it hard. It didn't have to be 100 miles an hour off the bat. All right, it just has to be in play. And when you understand your situations, like I just mentioned with Chase understands it. Like, I don't need a double. I don't need a homer. I just need to get the ball in play, a base hit, and these guys will score. Once he gets better, because remember, he's been a big power hitter his whole life, and he's got to understand, he's got to mature, he's got to grow.
Absolutely. Okay.
And when he does get that, and we're not telling him, and you're not telling him, stop swinging hard. No, we're saying understand. You don't have to have such a big swing when we need a base hit. And when he gets that, holy cow, dude! When he gets that, I mean, how the hell are you going to pitch him?
Yeah, and see, I always compare Coulson Montgomery, or when I think of Coulson Montgomery, I think about the clip when Michael Jordan was talking about a young Kobe in Last Dance, and he was like, sometimes he don't like to pass the ball. He's like, I'm gonna make this a game. And I think when Coulson comes to the plate a lot of times with runners in scoring position, he's thinking about a way of breaking the game open. But you don't always have to break a game open by hitting a grand slam or a 3-run homer. Sometimes you could break a game open by just putting it gap to gap or just hitting it in the outfield. Even if it's out, that's a sac fly. Sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself for the betterment of the team. You talk about Chase Mydroff. There was a time, a couple of stretches this year where I felt like he was trying to sell out for some power a little bit after feeling himself. But to his credit, he's toned it back down he's gotten back to the basics, which is what makes him a great commodity to have on this team, keeping the approach simple. That was one of the things that I liked in their last game against Texas, where they only scored 4 runs. But if you notice, they scored without the long ball. And you had guys coming through with 2 outs, getting clutch hits, such as Chase Madroff. And don't forget Andrew Benintendi, the veteran, another guy that a lot of White Sox fans have been fed up with. I know he's the highest paid man in the history of the franchise, had some dark, lean years that he was a part of here a couple seasons ago. But this is a guy that's won a World Series championship with the Boston Red Sox, has been on the big stage, still has a veteran presence that he can provide this young ball club with. And you see it in situations where runners are in scoring position. And what does he do? Keeps his approach simple, base hit up the middle to center field, drives in an insurance run that proved to be the difference in them winning the series against the Texas Rangers squad that's still in the hunt for a wild card spot in the American League.
And you talked about that veteran presence, and you see it with Chase learning, and that's got to be on coaching too. They had to be like, listen, homie, we don't need a 5-run homer. All right, you can't give us a 5-run homer. You got ducks on the pond, get them in, get a good approach, make good contact of the ball, and let it be. And to Chase's credit, he's listened. Now to Colson Montgomery, he's gonna have to listen, and if he does, like I said, man, it's really refreshing and cool to see whoever. It doesn't matter who comes up when they're ducks on the pond, guys can deliver. The moment is never too big for them. If they're down 1 and you got runners on second and third, cool. Base hit could probably most likely bring in 2. They give us a lead. I love it. I love it. I love it. This team has been coached well. This team has taken coaching well, and this team truly believes that they are never out of it until the 27th out is recorded, and that is, of course, has to fall on the shoulders, square on the shoulders of Will Venable. And some smart guy once said coaching matters, and man, truer words were never spoken. But talk to me about the starting rotation. All right, Anthony Kay, not bad, but Sean Burke, Davis Martin. Talk to me about these, and do you think we go get an arm before the deadline on August 2nd and August 3rd? Do you think we go get an arm before then and just kind of push everybody down and make our rotation even better?
I hope so. I like Davis Martin. Don't get it twisted. But Davis Martin, I never have looked at Davis Martin as a top-of-the-line rotation guy. If he's a guy that's your number 3 or number 4, I'm cool with it. But make no mistake about it. The way he performed in the first half, very all-star-like. Didn't close it, I'm sure, to the standard that he wanted to, especially after getting roughed up against Boston. But I thought he had a nice bounce back outing in his first start of the second half of the season against Toronto. Went 5 2/3. Believe he struck out 5, walked 2, only allowed an earned run in a game that the White Sox had some chances to capitalize and get some runs in and maybe steal an outing, but they couldn't. Chase Madroff was in part to blame for that, but as you saw, he rebounded recently against Texas. But bringing it back to the pitching rotation, Davis Martin is a guy that, like I say, he's been solid, but I've never looked at him as a top-of-the-line guy. Sean Burke, on the other hand, he was a guy, I'm not going to lie, I was out on for a minute. I thought maybe it might be best if the White Sox move him to the pen, especially when the bullpen was struggling a little bit. But ever since the middle of June against the New York Yankees, when he had a stellar outing against the Bronx Bombers, that man has been on cruise control. And I think the biggest key to Sean Burke's success as of lately is that he's keeping his walks at a minimum. We're talking about a guy that typically tends to walk at least 4 batters or more. It's going to be a rough day at the office for him. However, he hasn't done that as of recent times. We're talking about somebody who last start only walked 1 batter. Last 2 starts prior to that didn't walk anybody. Last 3 starts combined has a total of 25 strikeouts to just 1 walk. And he's only allowed 2 earned runs. If he can keep that going, you're looking at a guy who, not trying to compare him to this pitcher in any way, but remember what Jose Contreras was in the second half for the White Sox in 2005. If you could get that type of performance from a Sean Burke consistently going down the stretch into October, maybe this is the guy that you starting in game 1 of either a best of 3 wild card series or a best of 5 division series, depending on whether or not you win a division or clinch a wild card spot. So he's been impressive. Anthony K gets into a lot of trouble sometimes, walking guys, hitting batters. But the one thing that was key in his last start was when he had runners on the base pass, he kept them at bay at a critical juncture, particularly that bottom of the 5th inning.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the difference in the game. But I wouldn't mind seeing the White Sox go after some starting pitching. Guys like Reed Detmers, guys like Jose Soriano off the Angels, Brady Singer of the Reds. That's another option as well. If you want to go big game hunting, maybe you get a Logan Webb or a Freddie Peralta, but that's going to cost you. You got Clay Holmes with the Mets as well. So it's arms you could go after. I think if they could get a starting pitcher with another high leverage reliever to seal games for them, beside what they already have in Grant Taylor and Brian Hudson, hey, this team will most certainly be in it until the end.
They will. You mentioned Clay Holmes. They according to what's Bob Nightingale tweeted, that the Sox sent a scout. Clay Holmes was doing a rehab start down in the minors, and the Sox sent a scout to watch him. So maybe that is on the horizon. All right, and it looks like the Sox, Cubs both need an arm, a starter, and well, we know the Cubs are their shit is decimated, their whole pitching staff, and but also in a relief arm, and so they could be shopping for in similar pools. I just hope the White Sox are able to get what they need. How much are you willing to give up? Because if you want to get a guy, because you don't want to rent, I don't think you do anyway. Because you're not really this year wasn't the year we're supposed to be contending. We're some say ahead of schedule, but we're at where we're at, and that's where we're at. The American League is down, and I changed my tune a little bit though. Gabe, I was like, okay, we'll worry about next year. But man, if they're going to give it to you this year, if the American League, which is down, is going to allow you to go get to the ALCS this year, you got to take that chance. I mean, look at the Cubs. They gave up Gleyber Torres, and Gleyber Torres turned out really well. But you ask every single Cub fan, will they do it again? Every single one of them will say, hell yeah, I'll give up Gleyber Torres to win a World Series. So that could be it. Again, I'm not saying the Sox are winning the World Series by any stretch. I'm just saying they may have to make a move to go for it. And if they did make a move, who would you like them to go get? An arm, a bat, a starter, a relief arm, or a bat?
Well, I think you got to go with a starter first.
Okay.
I'm looking at a rotation on paper that don't really have a true number one.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the way that Noah Schultz has performed, and I'm not giving up on the young fella.
Right.
If it was 2025 with the way that season was going, I think we could have allowed him the opportunity to work through his mistakes and figure things out. However, you're in the midst of a pennant race. Noah Schultz still has some options on the table. If you're not moving him to the bullpen, then you need to figure out a way that you can upgrade. Because when you got a team, like you said, that competes to the 27th out, giving you all that they got, if you Chris Getz, you gotta figure out a way to get you a starting arm. Now, am I at the point where I want them to give up Caleb Bonham? No, not unless if it's for a Logan Webb or another top 5 arm in the game, because I see the upside with him. I'm not giving up Colson Montgomery either. You know what I'm saying? Even though he's barely a prospect at this point, it's some prospects that they could deal. Maybe a William Bergoya Jr. You know, a lot of teams love his contact rate. That was a guy that I thought may have gotten called up before Antonacci at one point prior to him getting hurt, and now he's rehabbing his way back in the minors, trying to get back up to AAA. But they have to make a move, even if it's just trying to win the Central. And the American League, like you said, it's a wide open league, and it's anyone's league. So if you Chris Getz, you're gonna make a move. But I'm going after a starter. I'm going after a reliever. You know, like I've seen reports and rumors that they're linked to Mason Miller. I would love Mason Miller, but I know that if you're gonna trade for Mason Miller, you're gonna have to give up something significant. As far as a bat, I've seen a little mock trades where they were saying that they may be linked to Shea Langoliers. I would love to have Shea Langoliers in this lineup with the power he has. You talk about one of the best catchers in the American League. However, I don't personally think that Billy Carlson and Hagen Smith, even though they are two top 100 prospects, might be enough to satisfy the A's and their desires should they want to move Shea Langoliers as they seek to continue to build their pipeline and collection of young talent. So when I see what the White Sox need, starter, relief arm, maybe you go get a backup catcher since Kyle Teal went down. He's going to be on the mend for the next 6 to 12 weeks. But you got to do that anyway in a division that's going to come down to the end, because we know the AL Central is a free-for-all.
Oh, my goodness. Sorry to off topic. According to Shams Charania, ESPN, LeBron James is signing with the Philadelphia 76ers. 2-year, $8 million deal with a player option. Clutch Sports Group and Clutch CEO and Game Over show host Rich Paul tells ESPN. So,
I like it.
Queen James is going to the city of brotherly love. I'd say maybe he could toughen up Joel Embiid, but he's got to toughen up himself too. It's like it's flopping bullshit. So, anyway.
Hey, I like it, man. Hey, he looking for another challenge. You know, he's won everywhere he's been, and now he got another place to grant a ring to. And I tell you what, if he is able to provide Philadelphia with an NBA championship, which would be his first since 1983, hey, it's not close to breaking the Knicks drought, but it's close enough. It's close enough.
Okay. Well, I'm excited about our boys. We're back home this weekend. How soon do you think Munetaka Murakami gets back into the swing of things? Gets back, because we're just literally just waiting on him. Because once he does, I think this thing just takes off. Because I believe since when he went down, a lot of other people stepped their game up. Miguel Vargas, Chase, Colson, Tristan Peters, everyone just did a little more. Not more than not stepping outside of themselves, but just made sure everything was tight and it was solid. Now that he's back, if they can still maintain that and add him, wow, it's going to look really good for us down the stretch. How soon do you think before Murakami goes on a heater? Because I'm just waiting for that. I'm counting days for that joker.
I have no clue, but the one thing I like about what Murakami is doing right now, for the most part, when he's not pressing at the plate, the walks. And I think having Murakami in the lineup has benefited the other hitters greatly beside him. If I'm not mistaken, I think the White Sox are 7-2 since he's come back into the lineup. And it benefits the other guys with his presence in there, man. Just plain and simple. You seeing guys get better selection of pitches to hit when he's in. They don't really want to test Murakami. Think about when the White Sox poured it on in game 1 against Texas, right? They intentionally walked him in the top half of the ninth. And I'm like to myself, hey, he's been struggling. You don't want to get it out? okay. You saw the other guys come on down, get big hits, Brave Montgomery. Like Brave Montgomery, at this point, I don't even know how you play the shift with him if you're an opposing team, because he's finding a way to hit it where they
spray
at.
it everywhere.
And that's a great sign to see from a young hitter who in a lot of ways reminds me a lot of a young Michael Brantley. But yeah, I mean, when he heats up, he heats up. I think it's just a timing thing. He has to get his timing back. People don't understand when you've been off the men for what, 4 to 6 weeks, you still got to get your timing in baseball, and it takes a while. And once he gets his timing, I think sooner rather than later, you'll start to see him connect on some pitches and hit those bombs that he was hitting early on between April to May. And the White Sox offense will slowly but surely follow behind them and continue their winning ways.
And it's perfect time because the weather's hot, and we know when that weather gets hot, that is a launching pad. And with the power he has, he doesn't even got to get all of it for it to go. And that's what I can't wait to see when he starts knocking some of these balls out in the middle of the bleachers to the end of the bleachers. I want to see him hit. I want to see his ass hit one on a concourse.
Oh yeah. I understand, man. At the end of the day, I just want to make sure, or see rather, him be happy here and continue to want to be here. And I know a lot of fans, they love to talk about the extension stuff. Man, look, think about where you were as a fan base 2 years ago and look at where you're at now. You know, sometimes you got to learn how to enjoy the moment in the now of this thing. And do I think the White Sox will be able to sign Murakami to an extension someday? Yeah, I do. But at the same time, think about where this situation was a couple years ago, and now you playing high leverage baseball. Like I heard a fan say, I'd be nervous if the White Sox went into the month of September with a 5-game lead in the Central. I'm like, you haven't done that in 5 years. You know, like you should want to enjoy this type of baseball. And I'm willing to live with the result of it, man, because when I saw the second half last year, I saw a team that was learning how to play together. I saw a team that was learning how to win some games. I didn't know what this year would hold, but I expected better results. But like you said, we're here now. Got a 1.5 game lead against the Guardians in this division that's there for the taking. Go claim it.
I couldn't agree more. You got to pounce on it because hell, Cubs thought they had it. The Cubs did it the right way. All right, they had a whole bunch of youngsters. All right, won in 2016. Couldn't hoist the trophy again. After that, the White Sox in 2005 added Jim Thome. You're like, oh my God, they added Thome to that lineup. That was, went wire to wire. Couldn't hoist the trophy. So when this sometimes time situations dictate your maneuvers, your moves. This could be it. And again, it could be like one of the crappiest years, and the White Sox end up getting far, maybe even winning the World Series in a down year. But you know what? It's still winning. And you can't take that away from them. You can say, well, this team sucked, the American League sucked, and that could very well be true. But they'd still be world champs. And if there's a chance to go get it, Rick Getz has got to do it, man, and I hope he does. It gave great stuff as always, man. I appreciate you and your time, but do me a big favor. Let everyone know where they can find you and your work online.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you as always for having me on once again, Shawn. You all can follow me at What Gabe Said on X, and you can follow the new 24 at TNTF_ on X as well as Instagram. We got series and episodes dropping each and every Tuesday throughout the summer. We've been doing Passing the Torch, where we talk about the guys that will more than likely be in the running, if not make up the roster for the 2028 U.S. Olympic men's basketball squad out of Los Angeles. And then we got some other topics that we're going to get into as well, such as expansion in the NBA from the 1980s to the present with the 32nd team that's coming out soon within the next few weeks in mid-August going up into mid-September before we come back from our break and provide you with the season previews of each and every team on 30 teams in 24 days, where we definitely going to be talking about those Philadelphia 76ers and the rise of LeBron James out in the city of brotherly love. That's something I'm looking forward to seeing. I don't care what nobody got to say about LeBron. We talking about an all-time great and a guy that's last time I checked, the only player that could say in the last 10 years that he was a repeat champion in the East. So he's coming back to get his ring. So let's see what happens.
Dude, great stuff, man. I appreciate it. And we will talk soon as the White Sox continue to drive to go for this division. And Bulls training camp's going to be starting soon for the Bulls. We got that to talk. So, yeah, we'll be in touch soon, man.
For sure.
All right, thanks a lot. Have a good weekend.
Anytime.
All right, now. Guys, that's Gabrielle Wilkins, the new 24. But he's a big Sox fan. Talks about the Sox as well. I don't know if you know this or not. Tomorrow, the Rookies Report. Hallis Hall, the Rookies Report, baby. On my birthday. On mine, Junior, and Walter Payton's birthday. The Rookies Report. The Hallis Hall. I'm fired up about it. It's here, finally. And there's a lot of expectations. A lot of expectations from fans, from the organization itself, from Caleb, from Ben. The expectations that they have are pretty high, and rightfully so. You know, for some reason, and I don't get this. A lot of people, a lot of prognosticators have said that Detroit is favored to win the division. Granted, they beat us twice last year. I get it. We still had the best record in the division. And I don't understand why people are taking the Lions to win the division. The Vikings suck. They got a new quarterback in Kyler Murray. Listen, he's going to be the starter. You don't trade for him and have him compete for the job. You might say that, but, you know, he's going to walk away with that starting gig. The Packers, there's something about them right now. They're just not – they're not all in sync, it seems like. There's something going on up there. And I think if I'm Ben, I think I am using that disrespect. It's interesting. Coaches will use outside talk when it benefits them. Otherwise, it's just outside noise. We don't pay attention to the newspapers, the reporters, the fans. But I think Ben is going to use that as motivation. The lack of respect that they're giving us is appalling. You won the division last year. You won, was it 13 games? And you still are picked second. In a year where you're not learning a new offense anymore. Okay, I can see where your thought process is if you're looking at the defensive side of the ball. A lot of the people with huge number of turnovers are gone. Nashawn Wright, Kevin Byard, and Tremaine Edmonds. Those three had the bulk of the interceptions. It looks like we stood pat at the deadline and didn't really add an edge rusher. We're counting on Dayo Odengbo to come off his Achilles, play well. We're counting on Austin Booker, who looks great, by the way. He's filled out, looks like a monster. So he's their big hope. I personally think he has a big year. I personally think he steps up. And I say that because in watching him play, watching his tape, this guy is always hustling. This guy never stops. And now that he's going to have, he was learning. He was a project, if you recall. He was a project. He was out of University of Kansas. Some people said he should have stayed another year. He came out. The Bears saw it. Even they admitted he was a project. Well, now it's 2 years ago now, maybe 3. Well, guess what? It's just time. All right, you've got on-the-job training. You didn't get this training in college. You got on-the-job training in the league. And you are a guy who is relentless, a guy whose motor doesn't stop, and that shows up on film. Now that you're, I assume, you're going to have better technique. You're going to have more moves, more counter moves. Combine that with the fact that you never give up could be the beginning of a breakout year for you. And most importantly, I really hope that Austin Booker, and Montez Sweat and everyone else are able to get to the quarterback in the third and fourth quarters. Okay? In the third and fourth quarters. In the second half of games, I would love to see more sacks in the second half than I do the first. Because second half is when more critical plays happen because the game is drawing to a close. You know, our old Uncle Hawk Harrelson, in talking with home runs, and I'm gonna correlate that to sacks. Don't tell me how many you get. Tell me when you get them. And that's what I need for this Bears team to understand. Like in the third and especially the fourth quarter, we need to dial up the pressure. People want to see, like, oh, snap, the Bears are good on defense, but in the fourth quarter, they really turn it up. That's what the reputation for this Bears team needs to be. Because reputation spread, the word gets out. And you may get a team who says, who understands, oh man, they're gonna in the fourth quarter, they're gonna put some pressure, they get stronger, and they may just quit just because. They may not be well conditioned. There may be a situation where they kind of anticipate them losing because they're expecting you to come back or expecting you to get more pressure, thus stopping them from scoring. Reputations are a son of a gun. Reputations are a son of a gun. So they got to earn that, earn it quick. And I don't want a lot of comebacks. I want us running out the clock. I want us kneeling. I want victory formation a lot. I want 4-minute offenses a lot. And I think with Caleb going into his second year of the same system, mind you, last year it was his third system in 3 years. His third system in 3 years. I'm telling you, it's going to be so much easier for him with pre and post snap reads. Ben Johnson's going to have them ready. And here's the thing. Here's why that's important. With a pre-snap read, you say, okay, it looks like they're running this coverage. I know they're disguising this coverage. It looks like they're running 2, but they're running 3. It looks like they're running 3, but they're running 2. It looks like they're running 3, but they're running man. Looks like they're running 3, but they might be running cover 6. So if they run cover 2, that's disguised as a cover 3, or if they're man, I know my pass routes. I know who's going to be open because I understand the defense they're running in and where my guys are going to be and where the weak spots in that defense are. That has to be calculated quickly, and the throw has to be on time. And I assume and I presume that he's gotten better understanding defenses with Ben Johnson. And we all know he can get rid of the ball on time. That's going to be huge. So I still don't see why people saying have the Bears falling out of first place. Just don't get it. Just don't get it. You know, the youngsters, I'm wondering how much of an impact this freshman / rookie class is going to have. It's tough. I think we all know Dylan Thieneman is going to start. He's put that in the books. I'm sure they're going to say he's fighting for a job. I think they're going to say that to save face. But for all intents and purposes, the job is his. I'm anxious to see how Xavier Thomas helps this team. He surprised people by the sharp routes that he ran. I want to see the most simplest pass. Give me a 5-yard crosser with the DB chasing them, and let me see how that plays out. And that's going to be huge because of the fact that here's why. You send them on underneath crosser. You send everybody else out. If it's 2 to the left side, what could happen? As he's running his cross route, the number 2 on the left side or on the opposite side sees him and takes him, leaving his man because he thinks, oh, Caleb's not going to hit this guy. That's one thing I want to see. Him catch it, him turn, and him run. That's what I want to see. I want to see him run away from everybody. And somebody run and pull a hamstring and say, oh, it's chasing Xavier Thomas to pop my hamstring. Well, listen, it's going to be a fun year. All right? My time has come to a close. I want to thank all you guys first I want to thank my guests. Ron Luce from the On Tap Sports Network coming on talking Blackhawks and the return of Kaner with me. And then Gabrielle Wilkins coming on talking White Sox baseball with your boy. I want to thank those guys. I appreciate them and their time And you know I got to thank you. All right, you guys. I love it. I love the support and the care you have for me. It means a lot. All right. So have a great weekend. Let your loved ones know you love them, because tomorrow is promised to no one. I'm telling you, one of the gentlemen from the gym passed out on Wednesday. Took him to the hospital, and he did not make it. I saw him last Saturday. Please let your loved ones know you love them. It's imperative. You get out there, guys. Enjoy this weekend. It's supposed to be about 85, 87 tomorrow. Summertime Shy is in full effect, baby. Full effect. And, yeah. Oh, man. It is. Get used to telling people you love them and you miss them. All right. It's going to be 85, 87 on Sunday. I think low 80s on, 85, 87 tomorrow, Saturday, our birthday, Junior and Walter Payton. But I think 82, low 80s on Sunday. All right. Beautiful weekend. Get out to the beach, get out, lay out, do whatever you got to do. Enjoy Summertime Shy. Because Lord knows I will. My birthday. I'm actually going to go get a cigar today. So my friend who passed away was Muslim. And apparently the tradition is like you bury him the same day that they pass away. Because he passed away in the 4 o'clock class. So by the time they took him to the hospital, because they tried to defib him, I was told they used yesterday to put out the information that today is, they have the whole thing locked up. So please let your loved ones know you love them, man. Shawn says, any birthday fun without burpees, SuperBack? Yes. So tomorrow, going to dinner. Just got a text in the middle of the show. A buddy of mine owns Boulevard Restaurant, Steakhouse. So I'm going to head down there with a cousin and a buddy of mine who's flying in from Miami. And then I'm not sure what we're going to do. We're going to go to Fiesta del Sol. Just going to go to Output. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But yes, that's my weekend. Sunday, depending on what time my guy leaves, probably go eat at my buddy's restaurant again. Yeah. So have a great weekend. Summertime Shy. And unfortunately, when my birthday comes around, it signals the end of the summer. The end of the summer is close behind. It's not fun. But anyway, have a great day. Have a great weekend. Let your loved ones know you love them, because tomorrow is promised to no one. But from everyone here at Sports Zone Chicago, I'm your boy, the SuperBack, Shawn Sierra. But your boy is out.